Hello, students. It's Mr. Grammar, and this is a continuation of The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. Before we continue reading, let's first begin with what are internal and external conflicts in a story. An internal conflict is a character's inner psychological or emotional struggle, such as a moral dilemma. On the other hand, external conflict is a protagonist's struggle against a force outside of the character, like another person, antagonist, society, nature, or fate. Allusion. An allusion is a figure of speech that makes a reference to someone or something by name. The main types of allusions are literary, historical, religious, and mythological. Here, for example, we have Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea. So let's look at the questions first before we dive into the text. Conflict. What new internal conflict does the sound of the baying dogs create for Rainsford? Comprehension. What does Rainsford do when he reaches the edge of the cliff? Okay, so in the first excerpt that we read, Rainsford ends up in Shiptrap Island, and here he encounters and meets General Zarroff. They are both great hunters. They both love to hunt. In fact, that's why Rainsford is there. He wants to hunt. Little does he know that General Zarroff traps him in, lures him in like an animal, and tells him, I will hunt you. And he tells him what he has to do. And if he is able to survive for 3 days, then he will be a free man. Right now, though, Rainsford is not the hunter. He is being hunted by not just any hunter, but by General Zarroff. Let's begin. The baying of the hounds drew near, but still near, ever near. On a ridge, Rainsford climbed a tree. Down a watercourse, not a quarter of a mile away, he could see the bush moving. Straining his eyes, he saw the lean figure of General Zarroff. Just ahead of him, Rainsford made out another figure whose wide shoulders surged through the tall jungle weeds. It was the great Ivan, and he seemed pulled forward by some unforeseen force. Rainsford knew that Ivan must be holding the pack in leash. They would have been on him any minute now. His mind worked frantically. He thought of a native trick he had learned in Uganda. He slid down the tree. He caught hold of a springy young sapling, and to it he fastened his hunting knife. With the blade pointing down the trail and a bit of wild grapevine, he tied back the sapling. Then he ran for his life. The hounds raised their voices as they hit the fresh scent. Rainsford now how an animal at bay feels. He had to stop to get his breath. The baying of the hounds stopped abruptly, and Rainsford's heart stopped too. They must have reached the knife. He shinned excitedly up a tree and looked back. His pursuers had stopped, but the hope that was in Rainsford's brain when he climbed died, for he saw in the shallow valley that General Zarroff was still on his feet, but Ivan was not. The knife, driven by the recoil of the springing tree, had not wholly failed. Nerve, 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 he panted as he dashed along. A blue gap showed between the trees, dead ahead. Ever near drew the hounds. Rainsford forced himself on toward that gap. He reached it. It was the shore of the sea. Across the cove he could see the gloomy gray stone of the chateau. 20 feet below him, the sea rumbled and hissed. Rainsford hesitated. He heard the hounds. Then he leaped far out into the sea. When the general and his pack reached the place of the sea, the Cossack stopped. For some minutes he stood regarding the blue-green expanse of water. He shrugged his shoulders, then he sat down, took a drink of brandy from a silver flask, lit a perfumed cigarette, and hummed a bit from Madeline Butterfly. General Zarroff had an exceedingly good dinner in his great paneled dining hall that evening. With it he had a bottle of Pol Roger and half a bottle of Chambertin. Two slight annoyances kept him from the perfect enjoyment. One was the thought that it would be difficult to replace Ivan, and the other, what was his quarry had escaped him. Of course, the American hadn't played the game. So thought the General Zarroff. He tasted his after-dinner liqueur in his library. Okay, so what internal conflicts does the sound of the baying dogs create for Rainsford? So, okay, so the barking dogs or hounds here, they're getting near, and these dogs are hunting Rainsford. They're sniffing for Rainsford. So it's almost like his life is closing. The walls are closing in on Rainsford, and not in a peaceful way. He is about to die. He is about to be hunted. And if he's not shot down by General Zarroff, the hounds will probably eat him alive. So that's the internal conflict. He's fighting for his life, and you see these hounds. It's almost like a sound from the Grim Reaper, like it's coming for you. So that's the intense fear. Nevertheless, Rainsford has determination. He is able to crawl himself figuratively out of the situation. He jumps into the sea. So we will see if he survives that. Okay, so his mind is working frantically. So just imagine you are being hunted and you are using every fiber of your being to survive. Let's see. And here, this shows that he was able to stop Ivan on his tracks. So he is able to kill Ivan. So here he used this trick that he learned in Uganda. He's using every fiber of his being. He used this trick. His brain was helping him with everything he could. Even though he was in a panic, he was able to create this trap. And now there's one man less after him. Now it's just General Zarroff. Nevertheless, though, let's see. Nevertheless, though, what does Rainsford do when he reaches the cliff? Here's our answer. He heard the house, then he leaped out for this into the sea. So here, I'm just hoping Rainsford is a strong swimmer. If not, he probably drowned, sadly. So, nevertheless, when he jumps into the sea, what does General Zarov do? Does he go down into the sea and try to find him? No, not at all. He's a classy general. He goes back to his home, his mansion. He drinks a bottle of Chambertin and just relaxes. And he realizes that this American had escaped, and he's upset because he has to survive. Rainsford has to survive for the 3 days, but he's thinking, wait a minute, why didn't he show his face and continue the game? So Zarov isn't having the best time of his life. He lost Ivan, his second man in charge. So now he's just drinking and enjoying his evening, perhaps waiting for the next person that comes into the ship trap island. But let's see. Let's see what happens. There's one page left. Read to soothe himself from the works of Marcus Aurelius. And Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and philosopher. At 10, he thought up to his bedroom. He was deliciously tired, he said to himself, as he locked himself in. There was a little moonlight, so before turning on his light, he went to the window and looked down at the courtyard. He could see the great towns, and he called, "Better luck next time" to them. Then he switched on the light. A man who had been hiding in the curtain of the bed was standing there. "Rainsford!" screamed the general. "How in God's name did you get here?" "Swam," said Rainsford. "I found it quicker than walking through the jungle." The general sucked in his breath and smiled. "I congratulate you," he said. "You have won the game." Rainsford did not smile. "I am still a beast at bay," he said, in a low, hoarse voice. "Get ready, General Zarroff." The general made one of his deepest bows. "I see," he said. "Splendid! One of us is to furnish a repast for the hounds. The other will sleep in this very excellent bed. On guard, Rainsford." He never slept in a better bed, Rainsford decided. Here we have our friend Rainsford sleeping comfortably like a king. Okay, so it seems like Rainsford won the game, and General Zarroff was the pig for his house. He was eaten by his own dogs. Oh, the irony. So Rainsford was supposed to be prey, but in fact, the hunted did indeed become the hunter in the end. And let's see, so General Zarroff knew he was dealing with a very dangerous game. He didn't realize it was the most dangerous game. He was drinking his wine, eating his supper, and he locked himself in his room. Could it be that there was something in his brain that was telling him Rainsford made it out alive, and Rainsford might want some revenge? But he was just taking a few precautions. He was, like I said, he was enjoying his evening. But just in case, let me lock the door. Oh, but the situational irony here. Little did he realize that he was trapping himself in his room. And the hunter that was hunting him was, in fact, hiding behind the curtains. So, let's see. At the very end, he says, One of us is to furnish a repast for the hounds. The other will sleep in this very excellent bed. On guard, Rainsford." So they were probably in the battles of their life. So one of them would sleep like a king, and one of them would be fed to the hounds. And indeed, Rainsford did sleep like a king this evening.